You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio once again. We are here today, and man, I have a true honor. We have royalty in the studio today, man. We have the one and only Derrick Gervin. Man, we're sitting down with a San Antonio legend. If you don't know, man, you or Patrick sitting underneath the rock because he's been in the game. He's played overseas. He's played in the NBA. He is a UTSA Hall of Famer. I mean, come on, like he's a big guy in this amazing city of San Antonio with rich history, especially Detroit. And also, I got some news that he is class of 2025 American Basketball Hall of Fame inductee. So I'm so honored to have his time in the studio with Derrick Gervin. First and foremost, sir, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Shemai. You already got me over here. I'm like, ooh, my man. Thank you. Great introduction. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. I mean, we are both Detroit fans, Detroit Lions. So all of that grit, we're going to get some of that in this show as well. So before we get into your basketball career, take us back to Detroit, man. What was it like being in that city, and what got you interested in basketball in the first place?
Well, first, being from Detroit, I mean, it's a great thing. You're a Michigan guy, and, you know, it teaches you to survive. If you can survive in Detroit, I believe you can survive in anywhere in the world. And my mom always kept us, you know, out of the ghetto. We grew up in the ghetto, I'll say, but we weren't allowed to act like we were from the ghetto. So my mom kept us in programs. And as you know, Detroit's a special place. Right now it's thriving, and I'm glad to see that. And it makes me so happy, man, to see where my city is headed. As far as basketball, wow. I have three older brothers. I lost one in 2013, my brother Claude. But my oldest brother, Booker, was a heck of a basketball player. He was Steph Curry before Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. And I mean that. The guy was shooting 35 feet, 40 feet, and making them consistently. And then, of course, you know about my brother, George the Iceman Gervin. Mm-hmm. So all of them are older than me. I'm 11 years younger than George. And so I was always around basketball. So from the time I was basically out of the womb, basketball is all I knew. And, you know, I looked at these guys play. I watched them go to the gym, and I come back, and when they returned, I see how happy they were. And so I just started looking and checking them out, and they always kept the ball in their hands. And I, you know, gave it a try as a child. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. The first time I dribbled that thing, I was hooked. So that was the beginning of my basketball life.
Now, for those in San Antonio, because that's where this show is going to be broadcasting on radio, but let's kind of paint the picture a little bit more for Michigan, because up north, the weather is much, 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 much colder than it is down south in San Antonio. What was it like living in that type of weather? Did you play basketball mostly indoors, or were you a true baller and you ball in the snow no matter what?
Sometime when George does interviews, he talks about it, how we grew up, right? So, you know, we had the 4 seasons, the winter, spring, summer, fall. And once I started playing that game, it didn't matter if it was indoors, it was outdoors. Even as a youngster, you know, we all had chores back then. Mm-hmm. And so I had to shovel the snow and all of that. You know, the young guy, I had to pay my dues, I'll say. And moms made sure to stay on top of us to make sure we paid our dues. So my thing, I shoveled the snow. And if it was a basket around, I'm getting on the basketball court. I didn't care what the weather was. We actually played, if you had to put on gloves.
If you saw the smoke, you're still playing.
I went wherever there was a basket. And, you know, people were like, this guy, he's really, really motivated. And that's when George and my oldest brother started paying attention to me. They saw that I was a diehard just like they were. And I didn't care what the weather was. It could be, and I'm being honest, it could be 20 degrees outside. I'm going outside and spend an hour, and I'm going to work on my ball handling. I'm going to get up some shots. You know, whatever I had to do. If I had to put water down, you know, because sometime under that snow, you had ice.
Yep.
So isn't that ironic? My brother's name ended up being Ice.
Ice man.
so whatever it took, I was a diehard. I loved the game. And as you know, I still love it today. We'll get there as we move forward. But man, I played wherever I could. It didn't have to be indoors.
See, that's why I love radio and interviews, because you always get to go beyond the glam, right? Beyond the accolades, beyond the awards and the trophies and all the pretty things, right? The fact that you're sharing this is like a movie playing in my head, and I want you kind of talk about before we go too deep into the game of basketball, what was culture like when it comes to sports in Michigan, and how did some of that passion kind of prepare you mentally before you took your game to the next level?
It was big for me as a youngster, because I saw the reception that my oldest brothers were getting, even like when they played in high school, and I wanted a piece of that. So, everybody, it's the history of Detroit. It's kind of goes under the radar, because you hear a lot about, Indiana's the basketball state, and you hear a lot about New York, the Rucker Park, and when Dr. J and all those guys were playing. So, and then I got to throw in Chicago. I definitely can't leave out Chicago.
Yep.
So that's, Detroit was, I think, still, flew under the radar. You got a lot of people who talked about California basketball. But growing up in Detroit, it was amazing, Shemai, because I saw the reception that the players were getting. In high school, they were treated like pros, like NBA players. And when you go to a gym to play, when they played at those gyms, the games were full. I mean, it was standing room only. And at the time, my brothers all went to the same high school. It used to be called Eastern High School. They changed the name after my oldest brother's senior year. They changed the name of the school to Martin Luther King High School. Mm-hmm. And so my second oldest brother, and my sister, my youngest sister, Barbara, and George were part of Martin Luther King. My oldest brother, oldest sister went to Eastern High School. The last four of us went to MLK, Martin Luther King High School, and the Detroit, it was great. Overall, it was just a great environment.
That's a lot of rich history right there. And if anyone who knows anything about Michigan, Michigan people are very passionate about what they do, man. I mean, you think about the work ethic from car dealerships, and I'm not going to drop names obviously on radio, but when you think about just the grit, I said that earlier, but it's a real culture thing. It's not just something that you see with the sports football with Detroit Lions. Talking about grit, it's a real thing. The people, they carry that grit every single day, man.
Blue collar.
Yes, sir.
I say that's the words I'll use, blue collar, when you're talking about Detroit, Michigan. And we lived that lifestyle, and it got us to where we are today.
Once again, listen, on Refocus Radio, talking to the one and only Derrick Gervin, getting his story, man. This is what's up, man. When you think about the first time you were on a team playing basketball, how were you feeling? And what were some of the learning curves you had to adjust to with the game as an organized sport?
Well, my first actual encounter when I started playing in Detroit, but you're familiar with it, but a lot of people won't be. They had the Police Athletic League, the PAL League.
Yeah.
So I used to go to the gyms, and my mom would, take me to the gym and drop me off. We talking about when I'm like 8 or 9 years old. So even then, they drop you off, pick you up a couple hours later. For me, I was hoping it'd be like 3 hours later. But I would get in there and work my butt off. And so when I was 9 years old, I was at a gym next to Finney High School. Those of you in Detroit that's familiar with Finney. I was right next door to a gym called Cannon. And I was working out in Cannon. And then there was this guy on the other end of the court, Shemai, was a coach, right? He was away from the gym. He was a police officer. His name was Leonard Dillon. So I got to give Lenny a shout out. I love you to death, my man. Lenny saw me down there working out on the other end of the court.
Wow.
And he came down there and started talking to me. And he was like, I coach in the PAL League. I was like, what? The PAL League? What is that? So he explained it to me. And he said, we start playing in this league in about a month. And I'm asking you to go talk to your mom, and I want you on my team. And that's the first time, my introduction, other than being around my brothers. So I go home and I talk to my mom, and she gives me the okay, right? Mm-hmm. So once she gives me the okay, I have to bring Lenny by the house now. You got to meet my mom. But first I had to check him out, right?
Standard, yeah.
I don't want to just be bringing some stranger to my mom's house. So I spent a few days watching Lenny. And, you can pretty much tell when someone is genuine. Mm-hmm. And I saw him interact with other young people. So I started feeling a lot more comfortable around him. Took him to my house to meet my mom. He gave my mom his spiel about, I think this guy could be special, and I want him to be a part of my team. And my mom looked at him and talked to him for a minute. They had the coffee together, and she kind of filled him out. You know how moms are about their babies.
Mama bear.
Yes.
Yep.
And she ended up giving him the okay, saying that I could play. And so, our first game was a month later. And then I'm sure we'll get into that, but that was my introduction to real organized basketball.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because for the sake of time, I do have to get you to the pros, but let's kind of speed up a little bit. When you start getting these years of experience as a young man, what do you feel helped you prepare to have an opportunity to get to a place like UTSA?
Well, to see my brothers, how hard they worked at it and how serious they were about it. And I just saw the work ethic. You look at these guys today, the Steph Currys, the LeBrons, all these guys don't become who they are without the work ethic. Mm-hmm. A lot of people talk about skill set, but it's got to be the mental skill set.
That part.
And so the work ethic is what started paying off for me. I spent a lot of time in the gym. I was taller than most people in my height, my age. And so was George. But I put in the work, ball handling. I stayed in the gym so I could get up shots, or outside the house so I could get up shots. And I just worked at it, my man. And, after a while, people start telling you that you have an opportunity to be special. And you have to know who to listen to, and really, because anyone will tell you that, because a lot of people are want to get a piece of the pie, I'll say.
Yeah.
But when the right people start talking to you, people you're familiar with, and you've seen them interact with your brothers, and they start telling you have an opportunity, it kind of opens up your eyes. And that's what happened to me. So I just started working even harder to achieve what today I would call, even back to the American dream.
I love that you said that, because I think that's true. The right people, I would say, they usually are the ones, they see the potential, and you're not there yet, but they are trying to coach you or guide you to get to that next level. So when you think about the next level for Derrick Gervin, once you got to UTSA, once you got familiar with the coaching staff, once you got familiar with the campus and the culture and the students, and understanding the weight of representing that school at such a high level. Fast forward real fast, UTSA Athletics Hall of Famer. Come on now, you had to earn that. So if we rewind the tape, kind of take the audience through what was going through your mind as you were experiencing the whole culture of UTSA, coaching staff, and the student body.
Well, I have to tell you quickly how I ended up at UTSA.
Yeah.
I was still living in Detroit. Mm-hmm. I was being recruited by all the top schools in the country. And the two schools that were on my map at the time were DePaul University, which was number one in the country at the time. They had a guy, Mark Aguirre, who was first team All-American. And then there was the Michigan Wolverines. Those were my two teams. Michigan was the top 25 team at the time. So I already put my head together, figuring out which one of these schools I'm going to decide to play at. And then we get a call from San Antonio, Texas. My sister calls, and she's moved down there. George had her come down so they could start doing business together. Mm-hmm. She calls my mom, tells my mom that I want you to come to San Antonio. And of course, me being 17, 18 years old, where am I going? Mom didn't give me an option. Mm-hmm. We want you to come down to San Antonio to kind of get out of the fast life. Cause I was living a fast life. So I can't leave that out. At 16, mm-hmm. I already had money. My brother was a star in the league at the time. So I had money in my pocket. Mm-hmm. I did I was running with the wrong people, I'll say, but I can't blame them. It was my choices.
Yeah.
So I got to San Antonio, and now I'm looking at the University of Texas, Austin. So I went on a visit there with my sister, and I told her, honestly, me coming from the inner city, this is like heaven. I won't make it here. I started looking at the ladies. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to focus. So I don't think this is going to work out. So I started thinking. I went to a UTSA game, and they were playing Arkansas. Arkansas was one of the top teams in the country. And I had a friend played on UTSA the first year of basketball existence in 1981. Arkansas, we played at the Hemisphere Arena. So I'm there as a spectator. Arkansas beat UTSA 71-42. I'll never forget the score. And so I'm watching my friends get beat down. And I said, I'm going to go to this school and help put them on the map. It gives my mom an opportunity to see me play. It gives my family an opportunity to see me play. It gives George an opportunity, and it gives me an opportunity to watch him with the Spurs. So I went to meet with a gentleman by the name of Red McComb, rest in peace. Go to his office, take my sister with me. We have a conversation with Red. Red convinces me to go to University of Texas, San Antonio, instead of University of Texas in Austin. And that was the beginning of my career as a UTSA Roadrunner.
I had to literally do a search on Google real fast, because as you're talking and hearing about your brother and understanding that there's a lot going on, right? It's a lot going on in the family. There's a lot of things that people may handle as a distraction, but you handle it very well, understanding the opportunity that was at hand. You had a great opportunity to execute a vision that you had to be at UTSA, and that vision included your family, included your mom, included your siblings. But I had to search the famous picture of you and your brother. And reason why I want people to understand, if you just type Derrick Gervin and George Gervin, there's a famous picture, UTSA picture of you and your brother. I want you to kind of talk about this black and white picture and what was going on there, and was there anything that your brother was saying to you, maybe to coach you or give you some pointers or feedback on your game?
Well, first you see that All-American shirt I'm wearing. We had a Midwest All-American game in Chicago, and so that's where I got that uniform from. But when we came to San Antonio, George used to come out to UTSA during the summers. And we played pickup ball out there. You know, a lot of the Spurs, Mike Mitchell, rest in peace, Johnny Moore, all of these guys. And so my teammates were all there, right? We played pickup. And then after the pickup, George and I used to play one-on-one. And so the guys would stop what they're doing, stop shooting around, and watch us play one-on-one. And it was very competitive. Remember, he's 11 years older than me. So we've always had a great relationship, on the court and off the court. But we were very competitive. And I mean, when you take a picture with your brother, man, that's the same guy that used to watch me play in high school. He's the guy that motivated me.
And he knows you.
He told me, though, if I didn't run down the court every single time, and I hope people hear this, if I didn't run down the court every single time when George came to Detroit and we were playing a high school game, he would leave out the gym. And that will, that breaks my heart. But it made me realize that I had to listen to him. And when I started running the court every day at UTSA, I could see my game continuing to grow. And I could see that I was headed towards what I told you earlier about the American dream. It gave me an opportunity to have a chance to fulfill my dream of playing in the NBA. And that's why that picture is so important to me. That's brotherly love that you're looking at there.
I mean, I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Rudy. He's in the sports world too. We always talk about that famous black and white picture. So I could not do this whole interview without talking about that picture, because so many people go to that black and white picture. It's very famous here in San Antonio. Once again, listen on Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Derrick Gervin, all about his backstory. Man, this is amazing. I feel like this is like exclusive. But when you think about speeding up a little bit, because I know we gotta get this going. When you think about being drafted, 1995, what's going through your mind? Because so many athletes, they think about, especially those who are true basketball fans of the game, as far as players, they are dreaming about this opportunity to just even hear the name call, just be at whatever team. What was going through your whole mind when you found out, man, I'm actually going to be in the NBA league?
Well, 1985, and it's okay. I left a year early. I left after my junior year. It was amazing for me because I felt like I had achieved everything I could at UTSA. We were the first team there, and only our second year of existence. We won 20. I struggled a little my freshman year, our second year in existence. Our third year in existence, we won 20 games. And we should have made the NCAA tournament, but I guess we didn't. Our name wasn't big enough. We hadn't got where we achieved the recognition all the way. So then my junior year comes, and I averaged 26 points and 10 rebounds. And I'm playing against great players like the names of Karl Malone, Joe Dumars, and those guys. Yep. So after I held my own against those guys, I started really believing that I was a step closer to being where I wanted to be. Our recognition picked up. A lot of scouts were coming to my game. And so I felt I was ready. So after my junior year, I decided to declare what they called then declare hardship. Shout out to Spencer Haywood, people who got us to the point where we could declare hardship, go early from college. And I felt like I was ready. So I come out and get drafted in the 4th round. At that time, we had 10 rounds. The Philadelphia 76ers drafted me. I was brought in to be the heir apparent to Dr. J, Julius Erving. So I get there. Charles Barkley was in his second year. The legendary Moses Malone was a center, and the backcourt was Andrew Toney and Maurice Cheeks. I get there, and I'll tell it just like it is. I went in unprepared, Shemaiah. I went in, I had been puffing during the summer, smoking weed. I'm just telling the truth. So I thought I was more ahead. Mentally, I wasn't ready. So I get to Philadelphia. I make it all the way to the end, the training camp, but then I get cut. They didn't have time to wait on me, and I'm sure they were a little disappointed that I didn't come in more prepared. They could see that I could play the game, but were they going to be able to trust me to do the right things when you're making money and you have to make right choices, and then you got all that free time? So I think that was the main reason I got cut. I talked to Dr. J and Moses Malone. They told me I should have made the team, but I thanked them for that. But I knew in my head that I didn't do what it took, and I had no one to blame but myself. So it kind of set me back, but it was a learning experience. And in life, we're supposed to always be learning.
When you think about the experience you got to taste in the league that so many basketball players never even get opportunity to taste. And you also, I know we're short in time, but real quickly, when you think about the opportunity that you got to play globally, overseas, how rich was those two worlds as an athlete? Because you got to do both. It doesn't matter about the time duration. It's the fact that you made it when a lot of people cannot even say they had a chance to do either or.
Well, the NBA, I made it. I got to play 46 minutes. I got injured. I hurt my back. So I had to make an opportunity. I had to make a decision. I wanted to continue to play. So I decided to go, instead of going back to the NBA, I decided to go over to Europe so we could only play once or twice a week. And to this day, if I could do it again, I wouldn't change a thing. I got my opportunity in the NBA. I actually was called the point-a-minute man by a championship coach, Bill Fitch, who also coached Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and those guys. So I achieved what I told you earlier, the American dream. I got to play in the NBA. I went over Europe. I averaged 48 points a game in Spain.
And they still know you.
Yeah, I still have people write me to this day.
Yeah.
So I achieved the American dream. My American dream was to be able to play the game of basketball, the game that I love, and got to be able to play it for a living. And for my mom to be proud of me, and she was very proud of me. Rest in peace. I lost her in 2019. George and my family's very proud of me. And we're down in San Antonio now, still making things happen with the youth. And I'm proud to be a Gervin, but even more, I'm proud to be in San Antonio. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a native Detroiter. I'll always be. but I also love the city in San Antonio, and I believe that the man above has a place for all of us, and I'm right where I need to be right now, and I love it, and I love it, and I love it.
Well, once again, listen, Refocus Radio, once again, true honor talking to the one and only Derrick Gervin. Before we run out of time, man, because it's almost closing on 2025 and 2026 is right around the corner. We're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas soon, and pretty soon be New Year's Eve and New Year's. Real quick, man, I heard in 2026 that you're going to start, taking some speaking engagements. You're going to allow people to book you for your time to do some amazing projects in the future in 2026. If you can, what can people expect in 2026 as far as what you plan on doing?
Well, they can expect me to hopefully be out talking to our youth about making good decisions. It set me back a few years. I should have made the NBA at 22 years old. I was ready physically, but I wasn't ready mentally. So I didn't end up making it till I was 26 years old. So from this day forward, the rest of my life, while I'm able, I'm going to talk to young people, young men, young women about making right decisions and how your decisions today can affect your life tomorrow. And not just your life, but your family's life as well. So just going out being disciplined. No one's perfect, but we can make the right decisions. There's two ways to go. There's a right path. There's a wrong path. And I'm very big on making sure today that these young people know how important it is to take the right path.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with our audience. Real quick, if you are interested in learning more about Derrick Gervin and what he's doing on social media, we understand he has a link tree. If you just go Linktree and / Derrick 30 booking team, that's going to have a lot of just links to his social media, some recent press and interviews like this and other articles that's featuring him. He's doing some things that I hope the community will be inspired by, because this is a true, like I said, royalty in San Antonio, what he's done for the game and what he's still doing for the youth in regarding to the game and educating them, the next generation, the future of what we will be seeing, the bright lights. I just want to say to Derrick, man, appreciate what you're doing for the community, and I'll let you have the floor. Is there something you want to say to a young person who might hear this episode? What will you say to that young athlete?
First of all, the percentage of people that make the NBA or the WNBA is very low. And so you have to make the right decisions, because a lot of times if it comes down to you or another person with the exact same skill set, they're going to go by the person that they can trust behavior-wise. And it might sound like a broken record to some, but I'm just telling you, that's the way that it's meant to be. If you make good decisions, you're setting yourself up for a great life. And you're setting your family up for a great life. And that goes back to what I said again. That's what the American dream is about. You being able to pay your parents back for all the time and effort that they put in to make you a successful young man or a successful young lady.
Well, like I always want to say to Derrick Gervin, appreciate your time.